Hello, my name is Randy Dobson. I'm an instructor here in the Houston area, and this video will be covering how to use an engineer scale and an architectural scale. Now, the first little side note I do want to add here is that these are not rulers, okay? Rulers are what you use in elementary school. These are scales. Again, this kind of begins you're learning the language of this industry, which you probably hear about me talk in class quite a bit. But the first one I'm going to do is the engineer scale, which you see right here with the numbers 10, 30, and they have different numbers 10, 50, 60, and so on. The way that it's set up is the opposite. If this is 30, then this side's going to be 60, as you can see over here. 60, and then if this one is 40, then the one on this other side is 20. And that is the way they're set up. When you're dealing with a scale, just like if you're looking at a map or whatever, it's able to make something smaller but still be able to measure it. In this case, this top line that I've drawn, I want to measure it and see how long it is for a 1 inch equals 50 feet. Now, remember that if I had a line that was 3 inches long, then you know that that would be 150 feet because 1 inch equals 50 feet. And that is just a good check as you're doing your assignments or scaling something, but it's more of a backup than anything. So in this case, I'm going to go to the 1 to 50 scale, which I'm going to turn this over. It's right here. And I'm going to put this at the end over here on the right. And when I measure it here, you're seeing that it's 34, 35, and then 35.5. Well, in this case, because this has a 0 on it, we need to add a 0 to all of these. So instead of this actually being, let me get this back, 300 and instead of it being 35.5, it's actually 355 because there is the 5 mark right there. Okay, so in this case, this one would be 355 feet long for that line. Just kind of take a browse at that and see where I get the 355 from. Now the next one, which is 1 to 20, flip this around, a bit shorter line. Again, now this is 1 inch equals 20 feet, so that same line that if you measured it up here, if it was 3 inches long, it would be 150 feet. On this drawing, if you have a 1 to 20, it would only be 60 feet long. So in this case, again, we're having to add a 0 to these numbers. I think they just left those off to make it easier to read. Putting this here, we've got 7, 8. It's pretty much right up, let's just say 82, 8.2. Well, it's actually 82. So in this case, this one is 82 feet long. Okay. But I'm going to just kind of throw a wrinkle in things, and let's go to back to that 1 to 50 scale. Well, if I measured this on a 1 to 50, what would that be? Okay, that would be 205 feet. So depending on which scale it is, this line can be of different lengths, but each drawing will have its own scale. Okay, understanding that on the 1 to 10, which is this one right here, if I was to draw this line here, this is 2 inches. Okay, that is 2 inches long. So if I said how long is this line using 1 to 30, you would say, oh, that's 60 feet long. You don't even have to measure it. See, I can come over here and do the 30, and I guarantee you it's going to be 60. There it is. Because 1 inch equals 30 feet, 2 inch equals 60 feet. This line on the 1 to 20 would be 40 feet because 1 inch equals 2. 1 inch equals 20 feet, so for every inch, and this should measure exactly at 40. There it is. Then, of course, 1 inch equals 50. This would be 100 feet long. So, again, it's all based off of your scale, and that should line up pretty close. There it is, 1 to 100. And the last one on this engineer scale I'm going to do is 1 to 30. See if I can find it on here. And I want you to kind of think about it for a second. This is 1 to 30. I'm just going to hover it here for a second, and I'd like you to, think about what the answer will be. Okay. It's going to be not 15.3 because you add a 0 to it, or to move the decimal, it would actually be 153 feet. This is 153 feet. 1 inch equals 30. So if I wanted to do simple math, that tells me that this line is a little over 5 inches long. Because if it was 5 inches, it would be 150 feet. Well, let's just see. There you go. See, it's just a little bit over 5 inches. That's my way of checking. Because on this one, I know that 1 inch equals 30 feet. So there's 30, there's 60, there's 90, there's 120, there's 150, and then you have the little bit left. But this is just to check. You would say, okay, I know this is going to be 150 something. Well, when you look at that, if you happen to have written, another number or something like this, you would know that it's not 15.3 feet. It has to be 153 feet. Okay? So I know that you're going to have questions on the engineer scale, but the architectural I'm going to be going into is quite a bit more difficult, but it's all just practice. And as you learn this, it's something that you will be using for the rest of your career in this industry. Now, what makes the architectural more difficult is up here, we're just dealing with feet. Okay, when it comes to architectural, now you're dealing with feet and inches. So not only are you measuring for the feet, you're also measuring for the inches. If you look at the end of your architectural scale, each one of them has this little breakdown here. And this is for the inches here. And this is for the inches. This is for the inches. Okay, now I'm going to show you, this one is 1/4 inch equals a foot. So I'm going to look for the scale that says 1 1/4. Here it is. And since I'm starting this way, I only want to look at numbers. Here's my 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Ignore these other numbers because those are for the 1 to 8th. 0, 4, 8, 12. So each side has 2 scales. They complement each other because 1/8 is half of 1/4. So that's the reason they're on the same side. So if I come over here to 1/4, and I'm going to show you this where it gets a little difficult. You can see that, you know what, let me make this a little bit longer just so I can justify my thing here. So as you can see, it's 8, 9, 10. It's between 10 and 11. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I move it to the lower number. You don't move it up. You move it to the 10. Now I come back over here, and now I can measure. This is broken up, and this is a whole foot. So those are fractions of an inch. So I can see that's 3, that's 6, that's about 9. So this line right here would be 10 feet, 9 inches long. Again, I measure the line starting at 0 to get my feet, which is the 10, which this tells me the inches is going to be more than 6 inches because it's past the halfway point. But then I just slide that 10 down to line it up. Now I come and measure off the inches, 3, 6, 9, and that is my answer, 10 feet, 9 inches. And that goes the same with, get something out of the way here. Here's the 3/8. Hopefully I can get this all to show up. And I'm going to look for the 3/8 on my scale, which is right here. There's the 3/8. And again, I'm starting at the 0. And I will start here and going up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Actually, here's 15 because there's 16. So there's my 15. So I know that it's going to be 15 feet in some inches. I can go ahead and write that down. It's 15. So I'm going to slide that to there. Now I come, so I got to scale off a little bit. And here I can measure 3, 6, 7, we'll call that 8 inches. So in this case, this is 15 feet, 8 inches long. Okay, so with an architectural scale, you have to measure the feet first, which I did. In this case, they don't double the numbers up. It's just 12, 13, 14, 15. It didn't make it to the next whole number, so I just slide it down. That's where the 15 is, in between 14 and 16. And then come over here and measure the fractions of an inch. Okay? Let me try one more here. This one is the 3/4, which is a little bit bigger on the inches, and I'm gonna show you this. This is, see if I can get this lined up better. Okay, 3/4. There we go. So one thing you have to look at is this right here delineates 1 foot. So you have to look on how many. In this case, these are not 1 inches. These are fractions of an inch. So this even gets more precise. Here you've got 3, 6, 9, these bigger ones. So you've got fractions of an inch. So we'll measure this and we'll say that's going to be 6 feet. And then we come over here and we got 6 feet. There's 3 inches, 6 inches, 7, 8, but it's actually 8.5 right here. Put my pin down there. So that is going to be 6 feet. And let's see, what do we have? 8.5 inches. Okay, so see, that's even more precise. Excuse me, let me get that better written there. So this even goes more precise than that because it's a larger scale and it allows you to get in here and get more detail. You can kind of see how many there are here. You've got 2, 4, 6, 12, 18, 24. So these are in 12ths. And that takes practice. Don't get discouraged if you get stuck in this area. That's easily fixed. But get understanding that it is there. The last one I'm going to do is 1/2 inch. Okay, and there it is there. It's 1/2 inch. So as you can see here, this one's even in more delineation. So you have to look at that. And let me get my line on here. I'm sorry. So that's 2, 4, 6, which is really bad. That 7 is there. I mean, that is actually happens to be 7. That's just coincidence. We got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we know it's going to be 12 feet. And then the inches, we're going to slide this back to the 12. And then let's come over here. Get that lined up here. Let that focus in here. Hopefully it will. My camera's not being very cooperative. Sorry for that. Let's see. I wish it would focus better. We got 12 and then you got 3 inches. Not quite 6. We'll just call it 5. So it would be 12 feet, 5 inches. Okay. And let's see here. I'd like that scale to be more focused, but it's not. So that is, and seeing again, you know that by looking at this, that it's, you know, it's at the halfway point, not quite the halfway point over here. Once I get it lined up, you're looking at this right here and the halfway points there, so you know it's going to be under 6 inches. That's just a visual check for you as you're working on using these different scales. Now, there's many things that we'll be covering in this class, and many things won't maybe apply to you as you get into this industry. But I can guarantee you that these two scales will be with you for your entire career. Okay, I used them in middle school, I used them in high school, and I've used them in the last 43 years of doing business in the civil engineering world because I also have to read architectural plans, and if I have to measure something, I need to know how to use the architectural scale. Again, this is a process. Don't get discouraged as you're learning these. It doesn't happen overnight, especially the architectural one, because it is more challenging. But again, practicing is the best way to do this. I mean, you can draw lines on a piece of paper, designate a scale for it, and measure it. Take a picture of it and send it to me, and I'll be glad to check it for you. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. Once you've learned it, it's like riding a bike that you don't need to. You'll always remember how to use it. And that concludes my video on scales. Thank you.